Namaste, sir. Welcome, sir.
Namaste, Vanchana ji, and Jai Hind to everyone. My
Jai Hind.
sincere thanks to you, to AICTE, NCC, IPP, and all the organizers of this wonderful workshop for giving me this opportunity to share my personal thoughts as well as our experiences in conduct of this SIP and the other human value related programs in our institution. I think on the whole, to start with my experience of 15 years in this institution, I'd like to say that amongst all the transformative initiatives that the AICTE has taken over the last 4 to 5 years, this induction program commencement as well as introduction of this 3-credit universal human values and professional ethics course across all institutions, I think has been the most wide-ranging and the most impactful of initiatives of the AICTE. In fact, as the Honorable Chairman said, the game changer, because it would actually transform the entire student community, the faculty and the campuses. And I'm sure we can look forward to, over a period of time, it's only the beginning now, to a definite change from value education, where we are educating people on values, to value-based education, where we integrate values into the entire facet of all aspects of our education system, and to eventually value-based living. With these words, I'd like to very, very briefly introduce our institution to the audience so that they know about me, about our institution. We have been established in 1998, and like all other affiliated colleges, we are approved by AICTE and affiliated to AKTU. All our major branches, of course, are accredited by NBA. Like all good institutions, we have been primarily for quite some time focusing on academic excellence, industry collaborations, relevant trainings, project-based learning and employability, and we have done well on all these fronts. But I must mention that right from the beginning, we have been emphasizing, and there is an overriding stress in whatever we do on the value-based education, by in sort of incorporating human values, ethics, work culture, and a positive attitude amongst our students, faculty members, and so on and so forth. And I'd just like to mention a few steps that we've been taking towards achieving this particular thing over the last decade or so. We've been conducting this, I'll go back to the previous slide, please. We've been conducting this 3-credit compulsory universal human values program for all second-year students in our college and our university since 2009, actually. And in addition now, we are conducting this 3 weeks SIP program, which in our institution we started in 2009, and it used to be a 1-week induction program, which have now been extended with AICTE guidelines for 3 years. In addition, we are now also conducting advanced programs on universal human value related topics in our 3rd and 4th year as optional electives. And I must share that the response is overwhelming for these programs as open electives. Then all my HODs and deans and faculty members in our college have undergone the 8 days, including myself, have undergone the 8 days human values workshop a number of years back. In addition, it is compulsory in my institution for any new faculty to undergo at least this 8 days first level human values workshop. And as of today, I'm happy that 218, which is nearly 90% of our faculty strength, have undergone this FDP. Half of these people have also undergone the next level, that is the refresher one, so-called today. And 1/3, 34 of these have done the refresher program. And in our institution today, we have 4 fully qualified resource persons and also 6 facilitators who are competent to conduct these programs independently. And these people have so far conducted about 20 faculty development programs for about 1,000 faculty members in our own college. And they've also been supporting the AKTU, the other universities, and also of late the online programs of AICTE in various other institutions. So with these efforts, the next slide, of course, the next.
R.K. Agarwal ji, if I may just add that your college has contributed 1 full-time person and 6 people part-time for this effort that is going on now. So many thanks for that. And if each college is able to do something like that, India will be very different in 1 year.
Thank you very much, Rajulji. But let me tell you that my association with you and the present AICTE chairman, vice chairman, and the member secretaries, for whatever little I know of them, they've been a great source of inspiration. It is basically the inspiration which is required, and I think everyone would volunteer like us to, after that, give anything that they want. This particular slide, sir, is a few things in which our college is the first, but I'm not showing it to showcase our institution. But what I personally believe is that once we take care of the values and ethics in any organization, in an institution, I do believe that everything else will follow on its own. We do not really have to work for anything in a directed manner. So just to highlight a few of our achievements, we are the only institution in the state of UP to have received the Academic Excellence Award from the Honorable Governor for 2 years in a row. We are also, the AKTU instituted something called a Chancellor's Medal 5 years back for a BTech student who has topped in the university exams across all branches. And I'm very happy to share that for the last 5 years since inception, this award has been backed only by students of our college, AKGE. Last year, the AKTU again instituted a new award, and they wanted to nominate a sort of best or distinguished alumnus for the university. And I'm proud to say that it is again from our institution. As far as our Industry Academia Connect, we became the first institution in 2009 to be approved by DST for having the Centers of Excellence under the TIFAC scheme in automation and robotics. We also are the first college which has an NSDC approved and supported skill development center. And this particular year, we also got approval from the state government of UP to start a common facility center for industries of Ghaziabad and its region. I'm saying all this that it has only been possible because of our emphasis and effort on transforming the campus, the faculty, and the students through this human values and ethics induction. The purpose and concept of induction program, I think I'll just leave it because Professor Rajneesh Arora just half an hour back so very elaborately discussed and described. The only thing that I would like to say is that this particular program on the induction program in our college, we actually started in 2009 as a 1-week program, and now we've extended it to 3 weeks. So coming to what we do in our college, we start this induction program even before the students arrives. So what we do a week or so before the students arrive is we conduct a program called Kiran for our senior students, and we've been doing it for over a decade now. This Kiran stands for Kaho India Ab Lagging or Lagging. So in this, our various societies, particularly the Dramatic Society and other societies, conduct programs to sensitize and to make the students aware of the ill effects of ragging. And as the chairman sir very rightly said, now, instead of ragging now, our students should be welcoming the newcomers. So we sensitize our senior students prior to commencement prior to the arrival. We also hoist this balloon every year in our college to proclaim that we would be a campus free of any ragging. Out here, just a glimpse of the various activities that we do. So on the first day of the arrival, the first thing that we do is We have about 6 very, very active and vibrant societies dealing with dramatics, music, art, literature, dancing. So these societies create and present a program for the new entrants in various venues, and also permit the new entrants to showcase their talent if they have, or at least their interest as to during the next 4 years, which society of these would they like to be a part of. So this is the first activity we do with them to sort of familiarize them with the senior students in a very informal kind of an environment. After that, the next program is something we call Disha. And this is a presentation which is made by one of our societies called Horizon. And this is about a 1.5 hours presentation in which they apprise all the new entrants about the various facilities in our institution, the processes, the procedures, the library, the e-journals, and what all sort of opportunities are available to the entrants to grow in all fields of activities, not just in education. So this presentation is the next thing that we do as part of the induction program. It is followed by a presentation by myself to all the students, the college proctor, and then all the HODs. The idea being the student should know who the major functionaries in this institution are and who are to be approached for what kind of a purpose. After that, on the first 2 days actually, the students are taken around the campus by the senior students of the proctorial committee. I will just go over briefly on the daily routine that we have set up for the students over these 3 weeks. So all the hostel residents are taken for a health run, as we do in the armed forces. So early morning, they all woken up and taken for a health run, the intention being to set them into a daily routine. Nobody should need to sort of wake them up as happens at homes. They have to get up, get ready, and come for the health run. This health run is then followed by a session of yoga, and we have people, experts in our campus, and at times we do invite outside support also, experts also, to conduct these yoga sessions. Another thing that we do very, very seriously is that we organize a series of guest lectures. And since the capacity of our auditoriums are limited, we do request all these people to repeat it so that every student gets exposed to every guest speaker. And these sessions are approximately half-a-day sessions, because almost every speaker wants these to be interactive, and we permit enough opportunity for the students to interact with the guest speakers. And the theme generally is on leadership, motivation, stress management, career development, and so on and so forth, as per the AICTE guidelines. So this is another thing that we do in our 3 weeks program. We also emphasize, as I mentioned, all our societies by this time have identified the groups who either have talent in a particular field or who are interested in pursuing that as a hobby. So now these 6-7 societies, they conduct various events for the freshers. So they conduct quizzes, they conduct painting competitions, and so on and so forth. So this is another range that we have, which we call creative sessions, conducted by each society. And every evening, again, other than these societies, every student has to choose which is the game that he'd like to involve himself in, or which is the game, if not involved, at least he would be interested in watching, because almost we have an intake of 1,000 students, so not everyone plays as such, but then everyone has to be associated with one sport in general, indoor as well as outdoor. So every evening before they pack up, even the day scholars do participate in the sports in the campus. And of course, we have facilities for the entire range of sports in our campus. Another activity that we do, which has been very, very useful, is that we take them for tours within our institution, our own faith center, for example. And more importantly, we have about 10 centers of excellence along with multinational industries in very high and emerging technologies, primarily automation, robotics, mechatronics, advanced manufacturing, advanced welding, and so on. So in smaller groups, there are 3 different days, 2 hours each assigned for these students to go through all these centers and to be apprised of the emerging technologies and the facilities available in the institution. Because each one of these people over the next 4 years will be enrolling in at least one of these programs as a co-curricular program, and he will get a certificate from our industry partner. And these programs will be, of course, in the evenings or on weekends and so on. Another very good activity we have found, and which has been very successfully run for the last 12 to 13 years, is we have an anti-racking kite flying and a poster making competition in our institution. We have a person, a very expert kite maker in Chandni Chowk, who comes every year to our college with about 1,000 kites and those manja and everything. And our entire football fields are full of students flying kites, with awards, of course, being given. And at times, you know, the kites go as so far that it's very, very difficult to see them without a magnifying glass. Kids really enjoy this, as well as our poster making competition. So with all these activities, primarily the students, as Professor Rajneesh very rightly said, who come from different backgrounds, from socio-economic backgrounds, different cultures, different kind of families who have been looked after, supported by their parents, get used to the environment, feel very, very comfortable in the environment, know who to approach, and you know, they are totally settled and ready to actually undertake the professional courses. And of course, this particular seminar is about the UHV module within the student induction program. And it is, I think, again, one of the very significant modules which we have started doing only after the AICT introduced it. In our earlier system of 1 week induction program, the other activities were there primarily, but not this particular one. And in this, what we actually are doing is, we are giving approximately 2 hours every day to each group of 60 students for these human value SIP modules. And we select about 20, because we have generally 20 sections. We select 20 very, very senior and experienced faculty members who have undergone at least the refresher program to interact with students and to take forward this UHV module. In addition, as I said, not just the students, about a fortnight in advance, and we are presently doing it for the next batch, all these selected 20 faculty members who are supposed to be conducting this human values module as part of the SIP are briefed on, have discussions every day from 3 to 4 in the evening, whereby they go through all the PPTs and other handouts given by AICTE. They consult each other, they go over their previous experiences and modify and refine how they're going to be conducting this program over the next 3 weeks for the students. So these are a few of the things that we do to ensure better effectiveness of this UHV module, which has been incorporated by the AICTE. And of course, at the end of this 3 weeks program, there is a gala function which has been there since time immemorial, since our time, the Freshers' Night, where we have about 3 hours of cultural type of activities performed. Unlike the beginning first program, which is by the seniors, this time it is by the new entrants who perform and who take charge of these activities. I'd just like to share some of the feedback that I have received. One is from the faculty who conduct these programs and the students who have undergone. I just selected 2 by our senior faculty members. So Dr. Parul has conveyed that many students shared that they've got such a platform where they're able to share their personal and family issues, and now are able to even find solutions to them. What she's trying to say is that it is very difficult for a new entrant to develop trust, faith, confidence into somebody who he didn't know just a few days back. So this kind of an interaction, this kind of a program gives them this confidence to be able to share their issues with us and to find solutions. Mr. B.N. Pandey, who's again a very senior faculty member of ours, involved in the Universal program, he has said that when students study technical subjects under the same faculty who had taken SIP program and then the Universal Human Values Module 2 also, they appear to be more organized, they appear to feel more connected with their faculty. And this connect with the faculty member is what makes even the teaching of the professional subjects much more effective. As I always mention, it makes the teacher, instead of a sage on the stage, to a guide by the side. So this particular induction program has gone a long way in achieving that also. Some quantifiable factors over the last many years of our attempt to integrate the human value system into our college. The first and foremost is it has actually brought in a focused and a very sincere approach in academics and all the other spheres. You know, like in our students, for example, we've been generally getting consistently good results, the highest number of medalists and so on. It is not just academics. Our institution has also been getting the highest number of medals in zonal and state level sports meets as well. There has been a very tangible, actually measurable change in the conduct, behavior, and work ethics of our students. I would say it is a change in their thought process and attitude as well. There is a definitive improvement in punctuality and attendance in the classes. And of course, we have a very elaborate system for our punctuality check. Every entry to the institution, we've got a computer. There is a group of faculty who sit in the morning at 8:15 and they record the time of every student entry. And then every day we have lots of students who have entered 10 minutes before the class time, and every day we give an award to 3 of such students. Similarly, the student who is late more than thrice in a month gets penalized and so on. So what I'm saying is this process we have actually measured has improved the punctuality of attendance. The minor offenses, bunking classes, misbehaviors, things like that have actually reduced because we had a system where all these were tackled by the proctorial team and the general practices marks were deducted. So based on that data, it has reduced from 700 to 160. And the major offenses are virtually finished in our campus. What I'm trying to say is the effort in imposing discipline is slowly disappearing. So now people are getting into a intrinsic discipline mode in our institution. And of course, there is definitely a better bonding and a strong mentorship amongst the senior students for their juniors. In our institution, we run a mentorship program where every year we choose certain difficult subjects and we ask the bright senior students to conduct classes in the break time. And of course, we do pay the senior students who conduct these classes. So the senior students are volunteering and seriously conducting these classes for the junior students. There is also an increased involvement in societies. The people volunteering for things to be done for the institution, for societies, has actually increased. Nobody needs to be compelled. In fact, we have to select who to give what responsibility. And in our institution, we have sort of created places where the students can learn while they earn. We call it learn while they earn scheme. So for example, all our hostels have got their own libraries where they have non-academic books and magazines. So 2 students sit there for 2 hours every evening and they get paid for it, but they are responsible for adding books, for issuing books, for imposing books and so on. Similarly, all centers of excellence have what we call it an ambassador. So these kind of activities have helped the students to sort of develop leadership, team skills, and mutual respect for each other. And over the last 7-8 years, I've got a record. We do maintain a record of our electricity bills. We do weigh in each mess the wasted food every day and we display it in the mess. So the food wastage is reduced. And of course, as the chairman sir was also saying, there is definitely an improvement in the placement. In fact, some of the very, very senior cooperators who have come to our institution have personally shared with me. In fact, Lohia Machines from Kanpur, once their MD came to our institution and they take only 3 to 4 students. And I asked him, why, sir, have you chosen to yourself come to our institution? He said, I just wanted to see because your students over the last 3 to 4 years have been the most stable, have been the most punctual, and have been the best performers in our institution. So these human values have gone beyond that and has helped in every facet of the student's career as well. And of course, we are a ragging-free campus. I'd just like to read out one of the feedback I received from the student who happened to be one of our very bright and a silver medalist also. He said that before attending the UHV program in the SIP during my first year, I was struggling with peer pressure, low confidence, and I stammered a lot. This topper of our institution had a problem of stammering. I got easily hurt and diverted with my friends. But the UHV module gave me strength and way to come out of the peer pressure. Subsequently, I studied all the courses of UHV running in the college. He has done all the optional courses also. Gradually, I found myself more stable with high determination. Now I'm overcoming my stammering and doing MTech with holistic vision. He's become one of our MTech students now. Towards the end, I'd just like to mention what I always believed, that whatever we are doing, these courses, these workshops, the SIPs and so on, they definitely go a long way in sensitizing the community, the students and the faculty, in creating awareness in them, and also start a process of self-exploration to a large extent. But unless these are reinforced, unless these are supported by an ecosystem and an environment where they see, as the chairman sir said about Professor Rajneesh, that he does what he says. So unless we create an environment where the student sees that it is actually doing and what is happening is what he is being taught in these sessions, it would not work out. So in our campus, we take special care to ensure that whatever is part of this human values curriculum is actually tried to be practiced in our institution. And I'd just like to share some of the things that we do to make the students aware about the environment and how to live in harmony with the nature. We have a totally eco-friendly, trash-free and green campus. Our campus is totally polythene-free. We have very scientific waste segregation and disposal mechanisms in our campus. We have a chain of 22 rainwater harvesting wells in our campus, where every drop of water that comes on the terraces onto any surface goes back to Mother Earth through these. We have a sewage treatment plant in our campus. All our terraces are covered with solar panels, generating 350 kilowatts of solar energy, plus giving warm water to all hostels. So basically, our students, when they go through this environment, they would try and relive, they would try to recreate this wherever they go. And our mantra for environment is optimum usage of natural resources used by mankind is the basic need of the day to maintain the required balance with nature and also for sustainability. Another thing that we do is we make every student, every person in our campus aware of a civic and social responsibilities through involving ourselves as well as our students into some of these activities. We run an annual blood donation camp where we again hold the record of up to 700 plus units of blood donated on a single day. We also have adopted a refugee village in Delhi in Adarsh Nagar, and we've been providing them basic necessities, whatever they did not have, as well as during the pandemic, of course. For the entire lockdown period, we looked after all their rations and so on. We also ran for a number of years skill development programs for the students of 10+2 variety from our villages, the schools which did not have computing or other facilities. And of course, now this program has, now we are part of this DDU-GKY, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kalyan Yojana, and we are doing this under that scheme. But even before that, we had started. We have adopted a primary school in the nearby village, Kazipura, where our students regularly go, involve the students in various activities. And within our own campus, we also run a primary school for the children of our village. So these are the few things that we do to reinforce the learning of these human values curriculum in the SIP. As I mentioned, a supportive environment is essential to reinforce the learning as well as to sustain what they have learned. Otherwise, they will believe that it is something for talking, it is something for discussion, but there is another thing for doing. So what we do in our campus is we lay a lot of emphasis on moral values, ethics, work culture, and a positive attitude, as I mentioned. We have absolutely uniform and transparent policy and systems known to everyone. So when a student gets penalized, he does not complain because he knows that there is nobody who has done the same thing who has not been penalized. We have a totally unbiased and a fair approach. Virtually no tolerance for misconduct and indiscipline. This is what we have established over a number of years, and some people don't like it, but we are known to be the most disciplined institution around. We give a lot of rewards for honesty and integrity, and we maintain 100% purity in our academic systems. So in the end, I would like to say that our intention through these programs initiated by AICTE and the way we have adopted and we are conducting it is to ensure that our students do not just get the intelligence quotient, the ability to acquire and use the knowledge, but then they should also have concern for others in the society and the norms of the society, that is the social quotient. They should have the ability to identify their own emotions and also of the others, and to resolve and to live with those, the emotional quotient. And the vision, the ability to predict the future trends and bridge the gap with the present through innovative ideas. So we do try to impart the vision quotient, and most important in today's context, when the environment outside on many fronts is becoming so very challenging, we try to give them the adversity quotient. That is, do not give up when you suffer a setback. You don't fail when you fall. You actually fail if you don't rise again and fight again. And of course, in our history, we have great examples of Maharana Pratap, who after that Haldighati battle had to live in a cave jungle, and as the legend goes, eat roti made out of grass, but still got reselected and won the victory. Similarly, Shivaji Maharaj was by deceit imprisoned by the Mughal king, broke out of the prison, and then re-established his strength. So this is the kind of training we are trying to give to our students. Thank you very much for your patience hearing, and my best wishes to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing this SIP experience at the institute level. We will keep the session now open